The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to an opening day edition of the Phixated podcast. I'm your host, Mike Gasolina, and I'm joined by a guy who's taking it one game at a time. Regz. Here we are.
You're telling me to take it one game at a time. I'm right back to overreacting and being angry. Literally 2 hours into the first baseball game of the season. So, good to know that I can stay right in my lane.
I told you before the show, I was angry for all of like 7-8 minutes. And then I got myself to the point of it's 162.
Yeah. I think I'm at that place now. I'm angry I think I'm more angry. I'm not angry that I'm not happy they lost, especially when you play against DeGrom and hit him around a little bit. You always just it just feels like you want to win that game.
Well, because you never hit Jacob DeGrom.
Because he's really shocker. He's still really, really good. And so to get a W off of a guy like that is like just a cherry on top of the sundae. Especially given that it's opening day and you just want your team to start off on a good foot. But I think I'm mad at the nuances. I'm not mad at the overall. I think the overall is fine. Like you said. And like we were talking about beforehand, Kruk said it best on the broadcast towards the end of the game. He's like, well, they weren't going to win all 162 anyway. So, it is what it is. And I think I'm at that point. It's again, if we're playing against, just pick any team with any random pitcher, it doesn't mean as much. If it's not opening day, it doesn't mean as much. All those things factor into, your emotion of the day. And especially to see them kind of get the hits that you don't really expect the Phillies to get, I guess, after like the Astros series, where all those hits were either foul or Trey Mancini's gobbling them up out of nowhere. It was just cool to see him run. Like the Marsh to Trey to like JT double was like all just like a man. That's cool to watch those guys just fly around the base paths. So listen, it's like you said, in the most realistic sense, this is game 1 of 162. So we better buckle up and, just be prepared. I'm just happy to know that, my passion is still up here. It hasn't waned one bit, regardless of how misplaced it is sometimes.
Regz still being Regz, ladies and
always,
gentlemen.
Like I said,
we can bank on
in the
it.
lane.
Here's the thing, Regz. You said it. 1 of 162. I find opening day of baseball to be so much pomp and circumstance that it's hard to see past it. Baseball is, I said it on our show the other day, it's the marathon sport of sports. There's still 161 of these to go.
Yeah.
What happened to the Phillies today happens in all of baseball maybe 3 times a season. An 8-9 run inning. Like this, that is not normal. It's not normal. If this were the middle of July, the only things we would see on Twitter are from people like you and I.
Yeah.
It's so much more under the microscope because it's opening day.
Yeah, of course.
And I've said this to a bunch of people tonight. Every team wins 41 games. Every team loses 41 games. It's the 80 in the middle that matter the most. This is one of the 41. They're going to win games like this too, where they put the crooked number up.
Right.
Like this is going to happen. Like come June, we're not going to remember that this game actually happened. Are there concerns coming out of it? Absolutely there are.
Yeah.
Are they with the talent on the roster? No. I'm not concerned about the talent on the roster. That's not where my issue comes into play. It's some of the under the radar type of things that we talked about before the season that shined really brightly
the nuances,
today.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. But when push comes to shove, I texted you, I said, I'm still finding silver linings in all of this.
Oh, for sure.
Like, Alec Boehm is going to be
Good
a dude.
Lord. Man, was that cool to watch or what?
I mean, to have two balls the way he hit them off of Jacob deGrom today
is just
like to hit a ball that far to right center field off of Jacob deGrom.
Yeah. At 100
and I believe
at the top of the zone.
I believe he had 2 strikes too.
I'd have to look back. I'd have to look back at it too.
I'm almost positive his second at bat there were 2 strikes where he shot it down the right.
I think he was 0-1 the first at bat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Either way, to be behind Jacob deGrom and hit a ball that far,
hit 100 at the top of the box,
and then Brandon Marsh also, looked really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
JT had a couple of hits. Trey had some good at bats. I mean, I think Trey's always had trouble with Jacob deGrom. So I wasn't surprised to see that first at bat.
Yeah.
And, again, I mentioned earlier, they scored, what'd they end up scoring? 7 runs today?
Yeah, 7. Yep.
It was just a cluster of really, 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 really bad stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to call it bad luck. I'm just saying bad stuff. Not that many bad things happen in an inning when you have that many talented people on a team, but bad stuff happened. Aaron Nola doesn't walk guys like that. He just doesn't.
Yeah.
I will say I question Topper bringing in Gregory Soto, who has control issues, who did not have a full spring. Like, I don't know that was the right spot to bring him in. So that was a little confusing to me.
But again, he's out of it, but they hit this nubber into no man's land.
Well, and I also think he got kind of screwed over. There, strike 3 to Seager. It was a strike.
Yeah, that umpire was not good tonight.
Ball 3 to Seager was strike 3.
That umpire was not good.
And he wasn't good on both sides. So I'm not going to, but most of his misses were called strikes outside the zone.
Yes.
And that pitch was not outside the zone.
Right.
So the one he missed in the zone was one that hurt the Phillies. Yeah. And then the nubber.
But again, a nubber to no man's land.
So I sit here and I say to you, oh man, this stunk. It wasn't good.
Sure.
But I still think they're a more talented team than the Rangers, and I think they'll probably win the next 2 games.
There's a very good chance they win the next 2 games and take 2 out of 3 in the first series, which is all you would want.
Yeah. Because when you look at it, the Braves are playing the Nationals, they're gonna sweep.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? The Mets are playing the Marlins, they'll probably lose 1. I really have a hard time with the overreaction in baseball, and we both had it at moments today. I'm not saying I didn't have it, but it's hard not to, because we're always in mid-season mode.
Oh, you're just always,
that's just who we are as fans. But the piece to us that's different than others is that we're able to rein it back in. So let's talk about the things that went wrong today. I know we don't want to focus so much on the negative, but
yeah, I mean, we'll get to the stuff that went right. We'll get to it.
I think it starts with Aaron Nola.
Yeah.
The conversation is squarely on Aaron Nola. That cannot happen.
I had very deep flashbacks to 2 years ago, Aaron Nola, when he was just chucking that curveball up there with 2 strikes all the time. And people were just hammering it. And he would just all of a sudden lose his ability to throw strikes. And then while I was thinking about that, Jason Stark had a very interesting tweet. I'm going to read you the whole thing.
Okay.
Nola has these games where he loses his feel from the stretch. Opponents' OPS against him with men on base was 276 points higher than with nobody on last season.
Mm.
And that's a season that Aaron Nola, by all accounts, pitched very well.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this and I was like, oh my God, like that's such a good point.
Yeah.
That because there's no other explanation. In situations like this, you have a professional pitcher who's pitched for a long time. It's his 6th opening day. Nerves and all that stuff is not an excuse.
No.
It's the 4th inning, and he's only thrown at that point to start the inning 44 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
So pitch count is not a thing.
And you have a 5-run lead.
And you have a 5-run lead. And at one point, you have 2 outs. And it's just, I'll never understand how it happens that he just loses complete feel for getting any pitch over the zone. And then I don't know. I'll continue to be baffled by this happening to him. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen to other people. It certainly does. But because we've watched him for his entire career, this seems to be a thing that happens to Aaron, whether it's fatigue in the later innings. This was not fatigue. Like something was wrong here. And then you had a really great point, which I wanted you to piggyback on this about another reason you kind of thought Aaron was a little flustered.
Right. Aaron usually spends himself in like the 6th. Like that's where he hits his wall.
Right. That's where we usually expect it.
Yeah. I feel like today what we saw is a mixture of things. It's the first start of the year. You know, we've seen this happen to him before where early in the year he just doesn't have his normal level of energy. His stuff isn't always there. I mean, you could tell from the start he didn't have his stuff tonight.
Yeah.
He was sort of out of the zone early in the game and never really found it entirely. It felt like the 2nd and 3rd innings he was starting to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Fell apart a little bit in the 4th. Well, a lot bit in the 4th. Here's the point that I made to you earlier that piggybacks off of the Jason Stark thing. Once runners got on base, he started to rush himself.
Yep.
And Aaron Nola in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
Yep.
Is walking around the mound. He's playing with the
rosin bag. Yeah.
Rosin bag. He's kicking the dirt off his cleats. He can't do that anymore.
Yeah. He's got 20 seconds.
He's got 20 seconds to get on the mound and throw a pitch. And I don't know if it's the rushing or the fatigue from having to get back up on the mound and throw that quickly. Because we've talked about that too.
Mm-hmm.
That's impactful. I do believe that Jacob deGrom suffered a little bit from that today.
Yeah.
DeGrom, the difference with DeGrom is he can pump 99 by you.
Right. Yeah. His stuff is so good that even if he's a little bit off, it's.
And not that Aaron Nola doesn't have good stuff. He doesn't have high octane stuff.
Right.
He is so dependent on location. And once you're tired, it's hard to locate.
Mm-hmm.
You can still reach back and throw 96, 97 and get a guy out if you're Jacob deGrom, but you cannot locate as well if you're Aaron Nola.
Yeah.
So I struggle with this, how this is going to impact him. Is he going to make an adjustment? Honestly, there were only 2 guys who really pitched okay for them tonight. And it was Vasquez and Strom.
Strom pitched great.
Yeah, he's starting game 5.
Yeah, yeah. No, but
he's
still.
He's on a pitch limit, but
sure,
I mean,
but he came
really
in and
good.
pitched great.
Yeah.
Pitched really good.
He looked really good. So I'm excited about that. But otherwise, the bullpen as a whole, like Brogdon was a mess. I mean, Soto was a disaster. Nola was good for 3 innings and then fell entirely apart.
Yeah.
And every at bat that Corey Seager has is a freaking
that guy just
journey.
doesn't go. He's like Bregman almost. He just doesn't go away.
He's a freaking journey, that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, we are fortunate that we see them one time.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Texas.
Yeah.
So I the Nola thing is concerning to me. We'll have to keep an eye on it as time goes by because he's clearly going to have to deal with having guys on base.
And I also think
having to pitch like that.
And I think that you made another great point to this is that if this is Aaron Nola in these new rules, why would we give him $200 million?
Right. And again, there's something to be said for the ability to go out there every fifth day.
Sure.
But if you're only going to be able to give us 4 innings,
right,
and again, that's recency bias. It's recency bias.
But it's not a crazy thought because it happened 2 years ago. Like we saw it happen.
Right.
He would,
right.
Again, we know he typically kind of runs out of gas in the 6th inning, but like, again, we're saying that of a guy you want to give $200 million to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Here's the other concern, Regz. This is not a juggernaut offense.
No, it's not.
He's going to face much more difficult offenses along the way. Like he'll see the Yankees next week.
Yeah.
They're going to score 77 runs against him.
Yeah. Yeah. If he looks like that, for sure.
It's one of these things where this was an offense he should have been able to cruise through 6 innings.
Yeah.
And get the ball into the hands of the guys at the back end, get it to Kimbrel, get it to Dominguez, get it to Alvarado.
Mm-hmm.
And we're 1-0. We're sitting here having a very different conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that in and of itself was an issue. I do want to, if you don't mind me, talk about Topper for a second and the decision to go to Soto. And again, I don't want to kill the guy because I love him, but I'm a little confused as to why he was the guy to go to there and not Strom.
I think
or Vasquez.
Here's my thought.
Well, Vasquez, maybe not yet.
I think for the same reason you're saying that like it takes us a little while to see this as game 1 of 162.
Mm-hmm.
I took that as Rob just wanted to see Soto, and this was a chance to get him out there. I don't think there's a lot of times we're running him out in the 4th inning against the Rangers.
That's fair.
So
I honestly, I knew there were a bunch of lefties in a row.
Exactly. So I think it was a time to bring in a lefty, and he just decided, let's see Soto. Like we haven't seen him a lot. He hasn't got a ton of reps this spring. Let's get him some reps. And again,
you figure he runs into an out.
Right. And he practically did. He ran into 2 almost, but they were just they didn't work out that time. So I think that was purely a reps thing. And look, the matchups happened to work out. Mm-hmm. And it was also like, hey, if there's a lefty I'm going to go to in the 4th inning and a guy I kind of want to see, it's Soto at this point. He easily could have brought in someone else to pitch those. Yeah. And I think when we get into the later stretches and probably against better offenses, we'll see somebody else. He's not going to make a habit of bringing in Soto in the 4th inning, or 5th inning of a game.
Right. And again, it is recency bias. It's not me questioning his ability to manage. It's more so when he brought him in the 4th, I was like, this is an odd spot for Soto.
I think that's why I kind of tried to think of an alternate reality. Not an alternate reality, but sort of an alternate thought process.
Yeah, I haven't seen if he's responded or was questioned.
I haven't seen any answers from any player, like in an article or anything.
I saw someone, I don't remember who it was. I saw somebody who just said like it shouldn't have happened. Like plain and simple. That can't happen.
Yeah. But I think I think we'll be able to count the number of times outside of the playoffs that we would see Soto in that situation in the regular season, like on one hand.
Yeah. And again, there's this overreaction happening all over social media about this game. And, the hard part about opening day is that now we have to sit through all day tomorrow.
Really sucks that there's no game tomorrow.
Of the argument of this is the Phillies team, this is really who they are, versus like it's 1 of 162.
Yeah. Well, Did you have any other bad things to talk about? Because I think on that point we can get to some of the good stuff.
Honestly, I don't.
Great.
I don't.
Let's get to the good.
It was truly Aaron Nola. That's the bad.
It was. If you want to blame anybody for this game, it's Aaron Nola's fault.
That's the bad.
Full stop.
What do you want? What good do you want to talk about first?
Bomer is number one on the list.
I mean,
3 for 5, a home run, a double.
I think he was 3 for. Oh no, he did
3 for 4. Sorry,
sure?
3 for 4. He walked once, didn't he?
Yeah. No. He didn't have 5 plate appearances.
Oh, that's right. He didn't make it the last time.
No, because the only guys who had 5 plate appearances were up to JT.
Yep. So 3 for 4, home run, double, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored, and like you said,
Cassie had 5. Sorry,
a huge home run off DeGrom.
Mm-hmm.
To just like spark the entire offense, the entire team. A great at bat against that lefty that they brought in. Fought back 3-2, fouled off a bunch of pitches, then gets a single up the middle. Great at bat. And just the double looked great. Like, man, not missing a beat, dude. Just coming right in. And just looking like the guy that is going to not be batting 7th for very long.
Yeah, they're going to have to move him up. They're not going to have any.
I think JT will drop.
I don't know if it's going to be JT. I would honestly consider a scenario where you move Bomer to 2nd and drop Schwartz to 4th. Like that would be my suggestion. I think JT was great today. JT had 3 hits.
I'm not saying that based on today. I was just saying like overall in the season. I think with JT still wanting to catch as much as he does, eventually we're going to get to a point that we've seen that dude just gets tired. Like and just.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
I'm with you though. JT was great today.
Once again, the offense was phenomenal. I mean, when you think about it. I think the worst performance offensively was Stott or Hall.
Yes. Schwarber just missed a lot of his. Schwarber didn't look great. 0 for 5.
Yeah. But
so
I
not
mean, we
great.
know how he is. He doesn't start great. He didn't start great last year. I will tell you who I know he struck out twice. But Jake Cave hit the ball really well twice,
I think,
and got robbed of a bomb.
Yeah, that's an 0 for 4 that is not sort of matching the eye test. If you just saw the box score, you might think it's like, oh, this guy, you know.
Yeah, no, I liked his at bats.
He hit the ball hard,
and he had 3 ball counts against DeGrom twice.
And that dude definitely just robbed him blind.
Yeah, so I didn't mind the at bats I saw from Cave today.
Stott did not look good.
Well, I thought Stott had some good at bats today too.
Yeah,
I thought he had some good at bats. He had a great at bat against a lefty and poked a ball in the left field. I think we have to give him some grace from the perspective of like it's his 2nd year.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing a new position this year. So there's going to be some grace there. To me, it was Hall. If he's going to be hitting in that 4 hole.
Well, yeah, especially
he's going to have to hit.
Yeah, especially where he's hitting.
He's going to have to hit. Like they had JT on 3rd with 1 out, and he hit a sky fly ball to shallow right field. Like that ball, he's got to get that run in there. Yeah. He's got to.
Yeah,
he's hitting cleanup. That run's got to score.
Mm-hmm.
If JT scores, it's 6-0. And JT ended up not scoring that inning.
Yep.
So, I feel like he's the guy that I have my eye on most offensively because I think Bryson Stott's I know Bryson Stott's a major league ball player.
Yeah.
I don't expect Jake Cave to be a guy all year because he's not going to have to be a guy all year.
Sure.
Eventually, Bryce is back.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to need Cave to play every day.
Yeah.
The problem is whether or not Derek Hall can play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's early returns, and I'm not going to be that guy who's counting him out already. I'm not going to do that. But early returns, I watched a lot of last year highlights today. I already miss Rhys Hoskins.
I know.
I already missed the guy, and it's not because Derek Hall was 0 for 5 today or whatever, 0 for 4 with a walk. That's not what it is. I'm rooting for the guy. He seems like a great dude.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's that extra piece to this puzzle that he wasn't out there today, and it bothered me.
Yeah, sure.
But that's the dude I'm looking at most from the offensive side.
Yeah.
Because honestly, there was something about everybody else's at bats. I'm not worried about Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber's
that's just gonna happen.
Kyle's gonna hit. That doesn't worry me. He's gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Turner was great. JT was great. Bomer was freaking phenomenal. Cassidy had 2 hits today.
That first hit was can you just do that all the time?
Yeah, but there are some pitches where it's still all right, man, come on.
Oh yeah, his last at bat. He held off on 2 of them and then swung at ball 4.
Well,
for no reason.
Count. He doesn't think he's getting that pitch because the tying run's on deck.
Yeah.
So, he's not thinking he's getting that pitch.
But that's what I mean. He's got to
yeah, he's got to know. And Kruk made the point of dudes chase all the time.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to pay attention to is it happening all the time, or are we just magnifying it?
I'm sure it's a little bit of both.
It probably is. I was not disappointed in Stott's at bats. I just wasn't. Personally, I was pretty good with Stott's at bats tonight.
Yeah, I felt the same way about Cave that you did. I thought he was up there hitting the ball hard and taking good swings.
Cave was great. Bomer, forget it.
Yeah, just
Brandon Marsh.
Yeah. Hitting the ball the other way, just putting the ball in play, all the stuff that you just want that guy to do.
So when push comes to shove, this roster offensively, all year they're going to miss Rhys Hoskins. We know that.
Yeah.
That's fact. But without Bryce Harper and Rhys Hoskins against the best pitcher in baseball,
yeah,
they knocked him out in 3 2/3. They put up 7. They lost this game because they couldn't pitch.
Yeah, well,
Regz is not going to be the story all year.
No, I don't think so either.
So they're going to get Bryce back eventually, which is going to solve some of the problem in terms of who's on the field. Because if Cave figures it out, if those start turning into hits, then maybe Bryce DHs and Cassidy plays first. Maybe Derek Hall isn't in the conversation anymore.
Yeah.
They're going to figure out a way to make the offense click somehow, some way. And I'm not saying Jake Cave's coming in and being an all-star. That's not what I'm saying. But you're going to have a guy who's just not great on offensively. That just happens on a team.
Yeah, but I think he's coming in with a lot of confidence from the spring and showed against Jacob deGrom that he can at least have decent at-bats and hit the ball hard.
He did not look overmatched in any at-bats tonight.
Not at all. I completely agree.
He did not. And so I'd anticipate you're going to see a very similar lineup against who's pitching for them on Saturday.
Oh, man. I don't know. I'll tell you.
Oh, he pitched for Boston. I know who it is. I just can't think of his name. He pitched for Boston. Righty. Throws hard.
Evaldi.
I thought about
Evaldi. Yep.
And then I would assume it's Perez on Sunday night.
That is correct.
That's not going to be an easy matchup for us. Because
that's
we don't
lefty,
have a ton
right?
Yes. So that's going to be a game where I'd anticipate Harrison might play second. You might see Pache playing the outfield.
I mean, again, if we're going in with the whole, this is game 3 of 162, why not just leave all the lefties in and see what happens?
Because I
don't think they are going to. No, I think it's perfectly valid to say what you're saying.
Yeah, I just think he's going to give them blows early. You know, this is a team who played deep into last season. So
Yeah.
he's going to have to be careful with the amount of time that some of these dudes get, especially your younger players.
Yeah, sure.
I could even see Sosa playing on Sunday night and giving Hall the day off and moving Bomer to first.
Yeah.
Like there's a possibility in that too. Any other big positives that you want to pull out? Because I feel like, honestly, again, it's an L after game one. I get it. But my concern level might be lower than it was going into today. Because my biggest concern was the offense.
Yeah. I think I was very happy to see Vasquez, Bilotti, Strom
Yeah, Bilotti, he
pitch
looked good
well.
too. Mm-hmm.
I think the Brogdon thing, I really like. He was having a great spring. It was kind of a bummer to see him kind of not have it. Soto, again, I think that was purely just like not an experiment, but like a let's just see where he's at kind of thing. So I'm not going to put too much into that one, but not knowing a lot about Vasquez, like great for him to come in, only give up one hit. Bilotti struck out 2, walked 1, but no hits. And then Strom, the same thing. I haven't seen that guy pitch very much. So to see him come in and have a great inning, like to get his arm a little loose, before he starts, game 5 is great. I thought he looked great.
Yeah.
And then we just keep saying Alec Boehm every like 10 seconds if we want to.
I agree. I think the bullpen was, they had a hairy little moment, but aside from that, and they didn't even use their 3 best.
Oh yeah.
I go back to this just simply comes down to one guy not doing his job.
Yeah.
If Aaron Nola gets them through 5 and it's a 7-2 game, 6-2 game, they're winning.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And I know, you can't look at it that way because it's not what happened. But I do believe this team's going to put up runs like that often.
Mm-hmm.
You do that against one of the best in baseball, you're going to pretty much do it on a consistent basis, especially with the rule changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's a guy who was up there chucking 102 and like painting for the first little bit.
Right. So it's a matter of whether or not this team can find consistency in their own pitching.
Mm-hmm.
If they can, they're going to win a lot of baseball games.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. They're going to score enough to win.
Sure.
So, we just wait and see now on the pitching. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what this comes down to. And Wheels will go on Saturday. We'll see what that looks like for him. Again, I don't see this Rangers offense as this amazing juggernaut offense.
No, I don't think so either.
So, you come out and you win on Saturday. Everybody feels a little bit better. And then you go Sunday Night Baseball and, it's Bailey Falter.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Right.
Like, I will say this, Regz. I will tell you this. They get swept in Texas.
Yeah, it's not going to be great.
Going to New York, we're not going to feel good.
No.
We're not going to.
It's not going to happen. We're going to be fine.
No,
Wheeler's going to come out being Wheeler.
I am very much of the belief that they will win
and
the next.
If we
games.
can put up like 5 against DeGrom, we can put up more against Perez or whoever the hell that guy is. Like, fine,
Perez,
he's
Eovaldi.
he's a lefty. Like, congrats, but like, if we're putting up a 5 spot against DeGrom, give me anyone else.
I will also say that going to New York next week, I think Alec Boehm is going to have a nice little series.
I think he's just going to keep it rolling.
That right field porch and Alec Boehm are going to be very good friends.
Gosh,
very good friends.
Don't you wish Bryce Harper would just like be around to just see him hitting that
Yeah.
stadium.
You know, I want to tell you something about that real quickly, and then if there's nothing else, we'll end it here.
Yeah.
I was scrolling through TikTok the other day, and my TikTok is the following: dogs, comedy, boy bands, and baseball.
There you go.
All right. Bryce Harper, like the journey of Bryce Harper came up on my feed somehow.
Yeah.
Have you ever talked to a Yankee fan about like the Bryce Harper signing?
No.
Okay. What do you think a Yankee fan says about the Bryce Harper signing?
That he should have been a Yankee.
Why?
I thought didn't he love the Yankees growing up?
That's what you hear from literally everybody.
Yeah.
You also hear that about every player who's ever a free agent ever of all time.
Sure.
That they are a Yankee fan. On this video, Bryce Harper's being interviewed as a high school baseball player. And it shows like Bryce Harper, catcher, like number, and then all of his stats. Favorite team, Oakland Athletics. So let's put to rest that Bryce Harper was a Yankee fan his entire life.
I love it.
Because according to this, it simply is not true. It simply is not true.
I love that.
So, hey, look, one game down. It wasn't great. The outcome felt like it was going to be different for the first hour and a half.
Yeah.
It wasn't what we wanted. It stinks coming off a World Series appearance. Here's the good news about baseball. There's 161 more of these. Not 16, but 10 times that. So buckle in. If you can't handle the game to game, then jump off and join us again in October. Because this team's going to be here in October. Like, I don't need you clogging up my feed with your negativity. This team's too good. And I'll welcome you back so you can wave your little rally towel and pretend like you followed all year.
Yeah.
When you really stopped after a week. Like, I don't need you here right now. Get off the train. I will be protective. I will be a gatekeeper. If you're going to be negative after one game, I'm going to be the gatekeeper. Like, this team's still very talented.
Yeah.
So I'm going to gatekeep the people who just think they're not good based off of this. They scored 7 runs. They had a meltdown inning. They're not going to have a meltdown inning 162 times.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not those Phillies teams.
End of rant. What they will do 162 times is run the bases the way they did.
Man, that was fun to watch.
So it's going to be fun here. All right, guys, we appreciate you coming on and listening with us tonight. We know that if you're listening, you're really just listening for the Phillies, and that's fine, but you can be frustrated. I'm not telling you can't be upset. You can be upset about the loss. Like, I'm not happy, but I'm also not saying the season's over. It's a bad loss.
Yeah.
But it'd be a bad loss in July. It feels worse because it's game 1.
Sure.
Just let that sink in. That's why it hurts so badly today.
Mm-hmm.
If this were July 17th, we'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
It stinks, right? But it stinks a lot more because it's the first one.
Yeah.
So let it go. Buckle in for Saturday. You get a day to rest. Y'all need it. Goodness gracious. I'd be ready to go to the game tomorrow.
I'm ready. I hate it that they're off tomorrow.
I do too, especially because they play in a city where it's domed.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Anyway, well, Regz, people should follow. They should click subscribe on the YouTube page here below. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at B&B Podcast. You can also follow us at the Phixated Pod there. You can do the same on Twitter. You can follow me at the Mic Drop 5. I remembered today.
You did.
You can follow Regz at Big Regz with the Z. And you can follow us on the Phixated fan page on Facebook. Make sure you check out our merchandise page on the or in the description below. Otherwise, like, hey, I hope you guys have a really good Friday. You deserve it.
And if you're new because of baseball season, Go check out like the preview pod with Alex Coffey from the Inquirer. Go check out all the past YouTube videos if you're into Philly sports. Like if you're just joining us,
especially postseason.
Yeah, if you're just joining us from YouTube or you found us on Spotify or wherever, go check out the other stuff. There's some great stuff in the backlog that you can still go back and listen to.
Absolutely. Make sure you do it. We appreciate you going back, listening, following, subscribing, supporting, all of it. We're so grateful for everybody and everything you've done to contribute to this podcast. But for the time being, we love each and every one of you. We hope that you guys have a great Friday. Be good, be safe, be kind. Take care of yourself, take care of someone else. And we'll see you on Thursday after the Phillies win 5 in a row. Go Phils.
Go Phils.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.